An important type of variable style that we're going to be using is a constant, which are pretty common in most programming languages. Java is nothing different. So in this one, we're going to make a little store just to sort of try them out. So we're going to have three items to sell, and you can pick your own. I am going to make mine one. I'll have a potato. Whoa, no, that's not what I want. That's not a potato. Potato. Click on a different line to get rid of that little helper, which wasn't much help. I'm going to have a shovel. And number three, let's do Gatorade. Okay. And just to make sure it's consistent, I'm going to get rid of that extra space. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use constant values to set the values of the costs of these items. So what I'm going to do is I will have a couple variables first. So one of the things I'll want to know is how many of these particular items am I going to have. So you'll notice that how many is written in what we call camel case, where it always starts with a lowercase letter and then the first letter of every other word. In the variable name, it has a capital letter. So the M of many gets a capital letter. This is a pretty common naming style. And then we'll have a double value for the total when we come up with it. Okay, so now on to the constants. So the first one that I want to do is I'm going to set these three costs. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a double, and there's two things that we're going to do to this line of code for the cost of my potato. And if you choose a different item, that'll be totally fine for yours. The first thing is constant values. The file names, sorry, not the file names, the variable names, they're in all capital letters. So we do it like this. So I'm going to type in potato underscore cost. So when we've got a multi-word variable and we're doing it as a constant, you're going to separate it with underscores like this. And that'll be 12 cents for that. The other thing that we do is, because right now this is just a double that has a capital variable name, to actually turn this into a constant, we're going to put the word final in front of it. So what I could do here is, say, for example, if I wanted to make, I'm gonna change this. So potato, now you can use this to help if you've got a longer variable name. If I want to change this to 455, let's do that. And then I run my program. It's a double, so it will accept the 455, but it doesn't accept this because it says cannot assign a value to final variable potato cost. Well, that's because it's a constant. I created it in a way that it could not be changed. So I'm going to make the second one here be my shovel cost. So this is going to be shovel cost is going to be, let's say, $12.95. Now, I'm going to do the Gatorade cost in just a slightly different way. So I've got final, double. I'm going to just slightly abbreviate the name because already it's getting to be a lot of letters. So I'm going to shorten this to Gato cost. And we'll set that equal to nothing, actually. This is going to be a little bit different. So this is something that Java can do. You can declare a final variable on one line of code, and then you can set it on another one. This is going to be, let's say, $3.99. There we go. And this, it's totally fine with. I'm just doing this to prove it to you. So it runs no problem. But if I were to try to change this later, it would not accept that. So what I'm going to do is I am going to do a little bit of calculation here. So I'm going to set my how many. You can set this to any number. So I'm going to go with 25. I'm going to get 25 of whatever the particular item is. And we're going to do this in the order of display the cost of 1. So the way that I do this is I'm going to type in system.out.println, and I'm going to type in 1 potato costs, and then I'm going to put a $sign here because if you don't program it into the text, it doesn't show up. And then I'm going to add on my potato cost. So the cost of 1 is going to be set like that. Now, what I want to do is I want to figure out the cost of how many, because I had my how many set to 25. So I'm going to have kind of a similar line. Now, how do we put, instead of 1, I'm going to have 25 of them. So how do we replace this? So we're going to start our output here, and I'm going to type in how many at the beginning like this. Oh, I lost my quotation marks. There we go. And because it is a plural, I will set that here like that. So how many, which is going to be, so 25 potatoes will become equal to the potato cost times how many. So what we'll do now is let's add on some taxes here. So I'm going to add these on at the top. So taxes are almost always, they show up as finals. So I'm going to have a provincial sales tax, which is going to be 0.07. And I will have another one, which will be 0.05. So these are two taxes. So a government sales tax and a provincial sales tax I'm going to be adding on to my price. Now, I'm going to be making a little bit of an adjustment here to the line of code. So if I want to show the provincial sales tax, then it will be like this. So system.out.println PST charged, and we'll put a $sign here. Now, what I can do, there's a couple different ways. What I have to do is get kind of my total here, and I have to multiply that by the PST. So already this is looking maybe a little bit clunky, and if you want to shorten this, what you can do, and I'm going to do this for the GST, is I'm going to break down some of the calculation, and I'm going to do it before I actually display it. So I've got my total value, which was a double, and I'm going to make that equal to pretty much this calculation minus the tax, because the total will just have that represent how many times the cost of the thing. So if I am doing this, and then that's just going to be the total times the GST, just like that. Okay, so that's maybe a little bit of a cleaner way to show that. And then for the display with taxes included, what I'm going to do is I am going to make this calculation here. So I'm going to just plain old calculate what the total is with the taxes here. That's going to be the total plus the total times the PST plus the total times the GST. And then for printing the total at the end, that's just a system.out.println total $, and then after the $, I'm going to add on the total, which now is represented by something different because I have total changed from its value here to now include this. So when we're altering a value that already exists, you're going to get that value itself, one or possibly multiple times in the calculation that results from it. So what we're going to do here is we are going to copy, paste, and then I'm going to do the same thing for the second item will be my shovel costs. So before we start that, let's reset our how many to maybe 11. So we'll change the value of that. So this one is going to change to my shovel cost. This will be shovel cost. This one will be shovel. Yep, there it is. Shovel cost. And we need to also change the text here. So not with capitals. I'm going to take my caps lock off. One shovel costs. How many? So this is going to be shovel. And then it pluralizes differently. And then we have all of our changes set. And then I'm going to do it one last time for the Gatorade here. So I'm going to set this to 217. One, well, I guess, Gatorade. So I can also, I'm just going to change it, one line at a time, make sure that I've got all of the changes before I move ahead. Gatorades, I guess. That would be the way to pluralize it. And then I'm going to do it here as well. And here. Okay. So there we go. I've got all of my changes in place. I'll run my program, make sure that it works. Now, sometimes you are going to experience this. So for this one, it should just be 21 cents, but we get this 21, a whole bunch of zeros, and then a 2. So this is something called round off error, and it's typically something like the compiler takes our calculation. Oh, you know what? I put PST for both of these. I just realized. So what it does is it takes the calculation and then it converts it down into zeros and ones and calculates the result in binary. And then it returns the number from binary back into its original decimal number value. And sometimes there's a little bit of erroring in that. So we're going to take a look later on at different ways to customize how many decimal places we're actually seeing. But this is a couple common ways that we're using constant variables. Now, the purpose of this is so that we can identify, not only protect values, but also use the capitalization to identify which ones are constants within our code.